Hello YouTubers. Tonight is I don't know how many this is going to split into. I'll probably make this into a single third video, but I'm in no hurry to open and use, but I thought I would do the unboxing because the Lee Undersize die from EGW showed up recently, so I thought I would unbox, unbag, probably a better term. Maybe the sharp side would work. Sharp side would work better. Put that away. So I don't know what this is going to look like. Let me rephrase that. I don't know if this is going to be an old die, an old Lee die, or a new Lee die. And the way to tell is the lock ring. So if it's the old octagonal or hexagonal, I don't know if it has 6 or 8, hex, I think, 6-sided die, or if it's the new ultimate lock ring, that would mean it's a newer die. So without further ado, there's the die, there's some paperwork and yet another sticker. I think you know I like stickers. And that is all that's in there, so let me toss that off to the side. Lee Undersize carbide sizing die for 45 ACP. Methinks this is going to be a newer die because it's in this red casing, but methinks maybe I'm wrong because it shows the picture of the older die lock ring. So who knows what we're going to be getting. And without further ado, look at that. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's the new one. Yay. Because I will be able to use, I showed this all, or rather showed this to you all previously. I will be able to use my new wrench. All right, let's see what we've got here. Instructions. It should be just like any other seating die. Decap and resizing die. Instructions, torn instructions. I'm going to have to take the glasses off. Screw full-length sizing die into press until it touches the shell holder and tighten the lock ring finger tight. The decapper is retained by a collet. Should it be oversized by an instruction, it simply slides up without damage. To reset, loosen the decapper and clamp the position. And this is where it's torn. And yes, and clamp and position the decapper flush with the clamp end and tighten. Considerable force / torque may be necessary. Okay, so that's, I've had that happen when the decapping die pops up because of a foobar. So I haven't decided. Wow, that's tight. Yeah, that's on there. That will be very nice. If memory serves, you have to slip that on as opposed to slipping it in. Slipping that on. Let me find the right teeth. It's like a gear. All right, so this is the new undersized die, and I guess that's how you know it's an undersized die because it has the big giant U. It says Lee 45 ACP AO. There's no indication of anything being EGW-ish, which doesn't surprise me because EGW said they sell Lee die, or Lee makes their dies. So it's not really an EGW die. It's essentially just reselling a Lee die with a little bit of markup on the cost. So I haven't decided what press I'm going to put this in. I have two thoughts. One, after I test it, I may just put this in my lock and load, and this replaces my current decap and resizing die, and then it just becomes a permanent, smaller, undersized die. And we will test this against the current die and what this one sizes to. Or do I put this in say my turret, an unobtainium blank plate turret, or do I throw it in my Lee Classic cast with an insert so it'll accommodate the 1 1/8 drive, or 1 1/8 drive, 1 1/8 size threads, or whatever these actually are. So that's kind of where things are at. So I'll call this the debut of the Lee Undersize 45 ACP resize / decapping die that we're going to test out. So more to come. I think for testing purposes, we'll probably put it in the turret, so that way I can have the lock and load and the turret at the same time, and testing shell resizing against each one, and then run it through the rest of the stations, and then see what we get. So that is the Lee Undersize die with my cool new wrench that I get to try out. Good evening, fellow reloading enthusiasts. Reloading Bench back with you once again. And this is actually a remake. I tried making this video the other day, or other evening. I'm going to try really hard tonight. I need a little extra tea. I tried making this video as I pull up a chair, and I realized after I had made it and even modified and added to it that I just went about it wrong. So you'll never see it. But now that I've regrouped and rethought, I think my next approach will make a little more sense. So what I had made previously with the undersize and the non-undersized die, I'm going to scrap and start fresh with a couple of approaches. So we're going to take an approach with the lock and load, which is a standard Lee 45 ACP carbide resizing decapping die. Then we're going to take the new undersized die, which is also a Lee carbide die, sold by EGW, but I can't find any markings on it, and as you saw, it's a Lee die. And then I thought maybe I should do different head stamps. So here we have Winchester and Spear. What do we have here? We have Federal. We have Seller and Beloit, Blazer. Wow, we just have like a little bit of everything. Okay, the Seller and the SMBs are usually smaller primers. Here's another Federal. All right, Federal, Spear, Federal, Federal. All right, the two Federals are going to be the lock and load, and the two, let's see, what do I have? What else is in here? Thought I saw a Winchester. The two Winchesters. All right, so we've got two Winchester, and the reason I'm doing this is for head stamp purposes, so we'll keep things straight, because the other night I was playing with markers and it was all rubbing off and shit. And I just felt stupid, which is, yeah, it's not that difficult a thing to do, but it sucks when it's on film. And then you see yourself and you're like, wow, you were really stupid. All right, so the Winchester, these are once fired. Let me take that back. These are recently fired. I won't say once fired. And I'm going to measure right above the base, 0.476. Right above the base. 0.475, and the two Federal 0.476, 0.474. All right. So my intent is to do one of each, you know, kind of this approach for the lock and load, and one of each for the Lee Undersize die. And all right, gang, what was a blink for you was a lot longer for me. I'm beginning to think this video series does not want to be made. Just as I started babbling, I don't even remember what I was babbling about. The the little video camera went beep beep, and the memory card is full. Obviously, I'm making too many videos. I might need a bigger cup of tea. Anyway, I think where I left off was I'm going to regroup and do two types of loads on the Hornady lock and load press, which is the Lee 45 ACP carbide, decap, and resize. I'm going to do the same thing on my turret press with the undersized die, which is also the Lee / EGW. And I think I measured the bases. Actually, you know what? What's interesting is, let's see what how the undersize. So we have 0.885. 0.885-ish, same. 83, 86. So 0.833 to 836 roughly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize these puppies, decap and resize, on the 0.474, 0.476. So I'm going to what you're hearing in the background is the classic turret press. Well, that's interesting. That didn't. Oh wow! So the Lee classic turret. Huh? That's kind of funny. The decap didn't decap because the rod has popped up a little bit. So I now have to do some maintenance. I'm telling you, this shit does not want to get made. Back in a minute. Now the beauty, I should have showed it to you earlier. So this popped up, and I didn't even put it flush. It should be fine for decapping now. I thought that was kind of funny, because was it last night or the night before? The last time we now have a successful decap. And what were we looking at? We were looking at, how the hell did that jump to 0.893? I don't remember that being that high. Oh, that's because I resized. Ah, yeah. Okay, so we were in the 0.883 to 0.886, and with the undersize resize, we have jumped to wow. So 0.890, so a couple thousandths, maybe 4 thousandths. And this still has the decap, still has the firing pin. It wasn't decapped, and that grew to 0.894. Very interesting. All right, so we now have two decapped. Let's see what it's. 0.893. 0.891. All right, very interesting. Okay, and then let's see what the bases were. 0.471 and a half, 0.4715, 0.470. Oops, that slipped. 0.470. Now we're going to do the same thing with the Hornady again. This is 0.477, 0.475, and these were the 83 to 86. Yeah, 0.86, 0.886, 0.883. 883 and 886. All right, let's throw it into the Hornady and see what happens. That's one. .883, 0.886. All right. Whoops. 0.886.5. 0.8, well, that grew. 0.890. All right, so that grew. And then what do we have for? We have 0.474. And we have 0.47, almost 3, so 2.5. 0.474, 0.47, 2.5. This is this is 0.470. 0.469. So the undersize seems to do just that. Undersize grows quite a bit though. 0.893. 0.891. 0.893, 0.891, 0.887, 0.889-ish, 8.5. Okay, so obviously the undersize, because the base of the brass is thinner by about 1/1000 of an inch, it also grew. And I don't have my Hornady book. This is what I love about Lee dies. Very easy to work on. I don't have my Hornady or my Lee book out at the moment. So I will get my Lee and Hornady book out at the moment once I clear my bench of all my working utensils that have come in so handy over the years. All right, where's my Lee book? One of my Bibles. All right, I know I'm going to bump the camera because I have so much stuff stacked. Let's see, how can I easily reach this? The downside of a very compact reloading bench with no working space. All right, my Lee Bible. All right. Lee says max of 0.480 in terms of the base. Okay, how can I hold this? Need another set of hands. All right, so we're good. Yep. Yeah, everything is within that spec. 0.898. Wow, I think we're close with that. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so we're still within spec. 0.898, less than that. 0.890. All right, so we are within spec with the height. 0.890, so 0.898. All right, so we're good. So that was a long way of saying all is good. So with the undersize die, I think what I'm going to do is run both of these through the Hornady, and I'm going to run this through the Hornady. So we've got the undersize is the Winchester, and the regular is the Federal. All right, so I'm going to run these two through. Okay, so we've already sized it, so all we need to do is flare. See the bullet? Sorry, I tried showing this the other night and it was just a disaster because I had to move the camera around so many times. Okay, so all we're going to do is flare this second one, short stroke it, seat, and crimp. Alright, so that's the Hornady, using the Hornady, excuse me, the die that's installed in the Hornady. I'm not going to worry about overall length because none of those settings have changed, but let's see what happened after crimp 0.47, 2.5. 0.4, so that jumped a little. Let's see. 0.474. That might be a problematic little puppy. So let's take a break. Go to another cabinet and pull out the go no go and see what we're coming in at. Oh, look at that. That's the no-go. Yeah, no-goes. No-goes on my my Hornady path. All right, so these are the undersized die. So all I'm going to do is flare, seat, and I'm going to crimp with the Hornady. And then we're going to see what we get. The Hornady has an RCBS. Is it RCBS? Let me see. Let me take the glass off. Yes, the Hornady has an RCBS cedar crimper, all in one. All right, that's one Bullet. Whoops. Got a little too excited there. All right, that's Bell. And we will put the second bullet in. All right. So this is the undersized die, and we're going to see if the undersized die. No, those don't fucking work either. Wow. Look at that. I'm sure I could force it in, but that's no bueno. Okay, so the message here, in my opinion, is that undersized die was a waste of money. 0.472. 0.470. 0.474. 0.47, almost 3. Let's go at the bell case mouth. 0.473. 0.474. The undersized die should be the same thing. 0.473. 0.473. All right, so now we are going to go back to Lee, and we're going to pull out the Lee. So this would be my turret. Put that over there for right now. And we are going to use the Lee factory crimp. If I can line up the puzzle. Okay. Factory crimp. Okay, this was on the undersized. 1, 2. This was on the Hornady, normal. 1, 2. All right, let's see what we get. .472. 0.472. 0.472. 0.472. Drop test. All right, so the message here is the most valuable die is this factory crimp. Voila! Ain't that special? All right, let's see what we get for, it shouldn't have done anything for the base. 0.471. 0.47 now. 0.472. Excuse me. 0.473. Yeah, so I'm going to say that for my my non what's the right term I'm looking for? My non-match barrel 1911 shooting, I will be doing what I've always done. The lock and load has been consistent. Not so much the lock and load, but the Lee die, the standard Lee 45 decapping and resizing die has been sufficient for my needs. I think going forward, anytime I'm doing something with the more finicky matched barrel on 45 ACP, I think all I need to do is leverage that Lee factory crimp, which is something I used to do when I loaded by hand for the turret before I went to progressive. So I guess you could say that's a ding on progressive to some degree, or at least the stations that I have, the 5 stations that I have. I was thinking to myself after seeing, I said to myself, self, after a little tea as well, probably, I wish, because I saw Lyman purchased Mark 7, and the Evolutions are very cool. In fact, I like the Evolution line, the non-Mark 7 drive, the auto drive. I would still do it manually. I like the Evolution stuff. It's quite expensive, but very nifty. And if you've seen what Lyman has done with the new Apex line, they've taken the Evolution and optimized it for low-cost production. You could say, cheap cast stuff versus billet, half a dozen to 1/6 another. Made some improvements, but left the cost the same, so their profit is going to increase. But I like the idea of the Apex, and then if you look at what Frankfurt Arsenal is coming out with, I can't remember what it was called, another 10-station progressive press. So the new norm seems to be the 10-station arena, and I would like to see Hornady modify, update the lock and load to 10 stations. I think that would be a winner, because those 10 stations would then allow me to do whatever the hell I want, because there's always these trade-offs of, what do? Do you do seating and crimping in one die? I would prefer to do seating and crimping in 2 separate dies. I like to have bullet feeding. I like to have powder check. I like to have a host of other things that I can't really do in a 4, like the turret, 4 station dies, 4-station turret, or 4-station head, and even a 5-station better than a 4. But oh my goodness, when you start talking about like the for the single stage, the Lymans and the RCBSs with the T series, the T8s and the T10s or whatever they are. I would love, I don't know why Hornady doesn't jump on the same bandwagon, because Lyman and folks like Lyman, like Frankfurt Arsenal, when you see Frankfurt Arsenal come out with a 10-station press, and you see Lyman coming out with the 10-station press, it's a takeoff of the Evolution. That's a, ring your bell, Hornady. Get on the bandwagon and come up with a bigger than 5-station, how about 7, 8, 10? that would be a good idea. I would cheer you that. I would buy that. I think that would be a wonderful upgrade path for Hornady. So if you guys are listening, Hornady, please give me a 10-station lock and load. Yeah, double the price, triple the price. I'd pay $1,000 for the press alone, you know, and reuse my existing components. So yeah, do something in that space, please. But for my purposes, I'm going to say that I'm not even going to worry about shooting the undersize. It's going to be a factory crimp issue, and I think with the factory crimp, I will not have any shooting issues with that match barrel. So we're going to call this series done. So instead of, I don't know how many I said it was going to be, 2 or 3, maybe it's just 2. So I'm going to stop talking now. Bye.